All right, everybody, welcome to the Oil Stream postgame show right here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tom Gazzola inside the EST Satellite Studios, aka my office at home, just outside of Ice District. YouTube Trev holding things down back at our EST HQ. The Oilers fall 3-2 in overtime to the Winnipeg Jets. Not the result you wanted, but the Oilers do walk away with a point from tonight. More concerning, though, Connor McDavid unable to play in the last 4 minutes of this game in regulation, did not take part in overtime. And we'll see if we can get an update on McDavid when the coaching staff speaks following tonight's overtime defeat at the hands of the Winnipeg Jets. As always, you can join the conversation. Hit us up at the text line 780-218-9999. And if you're watching via our YouTube channel on EST, you can get in on the nasty chat. I see Dusty's in there. What's up from Winnipeg, says Nielsen, who is calling the Bombers Elks game. The Elks lose in their season finale as the Oilers also fall to Winnipeg. And Winnipeg with the double whammy on Edmonton tonight. Let's get into this one. The Oilers in the scoring summary open things up 1-0. Darnell Nurse, kind of like a sequence of broken plays, and Darnell Nurse ends up potting it on a nice shot over the glove of Connor Hellebuck. Nurse first of the year for him. McDavid and Draisaitl making some plays with some nice little touch passes. That coming at 125, one zip Oil. Then Evan Bouchard on the power play. Slapper, nice setup from Draisaitl and McDavid to make it 2-zip as Bouchard gets his first of the 2023-2024 regular season. Then the Winnipeg Jets slowly chip away at the Oilers. It would be Morrissey picking up his first of the season from DeMello and Barron. That one coming on a Jets power play face-off win for Winnipeg. They work it around, and the clapper gets through everyone, including Stuart Skinner. That one coming at 10-18. Off to the second period we go. This goal was bad. Downright bad. Vladislav Nemesnikov's first of the year from Iafallo, shorthanded. Those are frustrating to tie it up at 18-21. Oilers on the power play. Evander Kane goes in, misses the net on a bit of an odd man rush. The puck rims around, comes back the other way. Does Darnell Nurse get it? Is he calling off Stuart Skinner, who's coming out kind of in that scary in-between zone? Skinner ultimately decides to go for the poke check. He can't. Iafallo finds Nemesnikov, who tucks it in as Skinner's scrambling back to his crease, and Darnell Nurse is sliding around, and we have a 2-2 game going into the third. The Oilers did have some opportunities. The Jets look good at times as well. Skinner holding the fort, his best game of the season, no question there. But Connor McDavid, like we mentioned, late in the game, about 4 minutes left, had his last shift, did not play the rest of the way, including OT. And in OT, the Oilers lose the faceoff after the Jets call a timeout. Scheifele doing some work with Morrissey and Connor, and a nice, pretty pass and play. Leon Draisaitl loses his man. Let's just say that. I know Scheifele is a smart, wily player, veteran of the league, and gets Draisaitl to get crossed up with, it was, I believe, Zach Hyman and Scheifele with a nice redirection off the pass from Morrissey. That goes over the glove of Stuart Skinner, coming at 3:53 to give the Jets the 3-2 victory. The Oilers outshoot Winnipeg 40-27. A much better effort from the Oil tonight. The result, not good, though. It's still a loss in OT. I get that. They do pick up a point. Edmonton does win the faceoff battle 51-48.5%. The power play goes 1 for 4. The PK goes 4 for 5. Hits 20-17 in favor of the Oilers. Block shots 13 for Edmonton to Winnipeg's 9, though. It is a single point for the Edmonton Oilers. 780-218-9999 if you want to text us. And then, of course, if you want to get in on the nasty chat, we want to hear from you. Let's avoid the expletives, please. And thank you. This one says, what a choke job by the Oilers. It's from Road Dog Trev, who follows up with a bonehead play by Skinner in the second. Give the net to Jack. Skinner may be the current version of Cam Talbot. Great the first year, and then downhill. Road Dog Trev, not happy with Stuart Skinner. All right, let's go to Justin, who says Tommy Leon being outworked like that and his attitude towards simple questions is starting to expletive piss me off, says Justin. Connor is hurt. Now we're behind, and Leon is a huge expletive. That's from Justin, who is very fired up. And then he follows up with the only good thing is Kane dropped the mitts. So a stack there of texts from Justin. And then this one from Ho Daddy. Hey, Ho Daddy, good to hear from you. Says another wave in a tie game. Not only does Winnipeg get a glorious scoring chance, but Connor gets hurt. That's from Ho Daddy as the Oil fall 3-2. Let's go into the nasty chat. Can't imagine it's much more positive. This one from the Wolf says, rumor that Kane still doesn't have full feeling in his hand. If that's true, that's definitely why he looks so lost. Much better effort by Kane tonight, nasties. I agree with the Wolf that Kane did have his best performance of the season. That fight with Brendan Dillon was great. He looked like he was moving. Great hit on Nate Schmidt, trying to be around it. So I think that was a step in the right direction from Evander Kane. Tyler says, Kane with a selfish interview in between periods. It's coming. I did not see what Kane said. Katie says, after Winnipeg tied it, the team looked sloppy, couldn't enter the zone, got better towards the end of the third. But I think the Oilers were only focused, or I think we're only focused on McDavid's health at this point. Thanks for the message, Katie. Another one says, what about Kane calling out Woody in the intermission about ice time? We'll have to get back. I did not hear the interview. They did not have the sound up in the press box as we watched it. I did see he did do the intermission interview. Double A says, I blame the Wave for tonight's loss. And then I see some people are getting into it via the nasty chat. Hit us up via the nasty chat or text us 780-218-9999. Let's bring in YouTube Trev here. YouTube Trev, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
All right, pal. I talked to you shortly after the game ended. You were more calm, cool, and composed after your first week. What's your sense of what we witnessed tonight?
Yeah, it was man, and I'm curious to hear what you have to say, but I just thought it was sloppy. Like the passing, I don't know. The Oilers couldn't make a crisp pass. I found there was a lot of sticks, for both teams in the second and near the third. It was just the Oilers couldn't get anything going. And I noticed that a lot, in particular on the power play. Just sloppy passes. It just continued to happen. Connor, he tried, Connor is Connor, so I can't get too mad at him. But just different passes, and it's something that I'm just still, I don't know. I didn't see this last year on the power play, but they're trying new things, and the passes aren't connecting nearly as much, I don't think.
No.
So yeah, it it looked sloppy at times. That was my initial thoughts, and as for Kaner, what Kane said during the intermission. It was something along the lines of, I didn't get a heck of a whole lot of ice time in the first period, so I figured I might as well, just get in a fight, get involved, and sit in the box for 8 minutes or 7 minutes that he did. So it was kind of I don't know if it was a shot though, but yeah, he did say that. So it was interesting. All in all, just the overtime. For Draisaitl, he was gassed, right? Like,
yeah,
you just seen it in that play in particular. They just I'm super curious to know what his ice time was just in the overtime there, because he was out. Fault him for sure. It was kind of, but Scheifele's a shifty player, and that's kind of what we saw there. Fresh legs, so I think it was just more fatigue on Leon mentally and physically. Is what that play was. So. It was it was tough. OT losses never a fun thing, especially when the Oilers were, again, not again, but they were up that game, right? That was theirs to win. And it goes back to what Draisaitl said in the playoffs last year. We shoot ourselves in the foot, and it's just time and time again. So it's interesting. It'll be. I'm curious. I'm kind of digging right now, seeing what we can find in the locker room, and that's my thoughts, Tommy.
Well said. All right, YouTube Trev. clearly getting much more comfortable on the post-game show. Thank you, pal, and good work keeping things flowing here. YouTube Trev, do you see who's speaking right now by any chance? Are we
Uh,
already at that point?
no, I have not been
No.
able
Okay.
to. No, I can't see anything yet.
Okay, all good. We will get to some clips later on in the show. If you want to text the 780-218-9999, and the nasty chat's still buzzing right now. You talk about the sloppiness. Yes, the power play had the one goal that they scored in the first period. Nice play. Good setup there to get Bouchard the clapper with Hella Buck scrambling all over the net. After that, though, I mean, it was a slog, if you will. It wasn't crisp by any means. I suppose to an extent, credit to the Jets PK. But at the same time, we have seen the Oilers' first unit power play have its struggles. And then you get the second unit out there, you get the missed odd man rush shot that rims all the way around, comes back, and then the miscommunication and the hesitation on the play by Skinner leads to the equalizer. That is frustrating. Those things need to get ironed out by this team. And clearly, through 5 games, that hasn't been the case. And, it's not death by 1,000 paper cuts. I don't think we can say that yet, but it is self-inflicted wounds, lack of focus and attention to detail that continues to haunt this team. And really, I think ultimately, you do have to give the opposition credit, but the effort was there tonight. The dumb plays were also still there, and they popped up and they bit the Oilers in the butt. They may have minimized them to a certain extent, but the dumb plays, the miscues continue to be a problem for this club. And we saw it again tonight. I will say this on the game-winning goal by Mark Scheifele. That's an elite player making an elite read and then an elite finish. And the 3 guys that the Jets had on the ice for that winner, pretty damn good too. And they did get the face-off. They had control. They ran a play perfectly. They got Leon Draisaitl and Zach Hyman crossed up. Nice play, nice goal. I don't know if you could blame Skinner on that one. That was just a really, really nice play to get the game winner for the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, let's go back into the inbox. 780-218-9999. This one says, we started planning the parade route with this early season. Now we might be looking forward to the 2024 draft. Yikes. That's from Farmer B. Farmer B, not happy, among many not happy Oiler fans tonight. Dirty Curdy is not happy. Dirty Curdy says, the missed check by Dry on the OT winner sums up this team's attitude towards winning, not willing to do whatever it takes. A Pee Wee B player would know better to stick with his man. Another goaltending blunder. Seems like there is always one per game, says Dirty Curdy. Kevin chimes in via the inbox, says, if McDavid is out for a period of time, they could put him on LTIR. Kevin thinking about the cap savings and a potential roster ad. We'll see what the scoop is on McDavid. 95% sure that Jay Woodcroft is going to say something along the lines of either I haven't talked to the medical staff, which is total BS, or he's going to get the update after and we'll see and reevaluate in the morning. One of those two. But if we do get an update, that would be a pleasant surprise. Looked like McDavid, if you didn't catch it, was holding just above his hip on his left side. Again, did not play the last 4 minutes of regulation, did not even see the ice in overtime, did skate in between the third period and OT, kind of wheeled around, camera isolated on him, did not look very comfortable, and did have a lengthy discussion with head athletic therapist TD Force. So that is not a good sign for the Oilers superstar centerman. To the inbox we go. This one says, I hope someone will let me know if I'm allowed to blame the goalie for one of the goals tonight. Seems totally off limits so far this year, but I have a nomination. SJ, not in the Kootenays. Yes, SJ, not in the Kootenays. Skinner did blunder on that equalizer. Either you go or you don't. And he got caught in between. I don't know if Darnell Nurse, we were trying to debate in the press box or figure it out if Nurse was communicating with Skinner saying, I got it, or if Skinner was trying to communicate with him, because Nurse looked pretty pissed off. Skinner not happy, but you either go or you don't. and he kind of did something in between, and it ended up costing them the equalizer. So SJ not in the Kootenays, you can absolutely blame Skinner on that one because he is equally at fault for that equalizer as well. Mark says, oh, another great start and then a collapse. Let's hope McDavid is okay, but this season is a disaster already. Woody and how he's constructed these lines needs to be questioned. Janmark should not be in the top 6. Holloway should be getting a chance there, but keeps getting the shaft. Skinner is brutal playing the puck, and that shorty was on him. The poke check was weak. Shouldn't have come out anyway. Power play after the first was brutal. It's time to panic, Tom, says Mark. Mark, an unhappy camper tonight, understandably so. Garrett from Victoria says, I know it's early, but you have to be a little concerned. Forward group looks slow. Pacific is going to be a tight one, and starting it on the back foot isn't going to be great. If Connor is out, does Woodcroft finally elevate Holloway? That's from Garrett from Victoria. We did see Holloway get a shift in overtime. I thought that was a nice reward. And I thought to myself when he was out there on the ice in OT, could you imagine if he managed to score in OT, what kind of boost confidence-wise that would be for Dylan Holloway? Didn't happen. He had an okay shift. And then subsequently, the face-off occurs. Jets call a timeout, and we watch Mark Scheifele work it around with Morrissey, and Morrissey with a nice feed over to Scheifele, and bada bing, bada boom, it's in the back of the Oilers net, and the Oil fall in this one. Kyle Connor was the other guy out there, by the way, in overtime for the winner. Paco says, hi, Tom. Oilers seemed to fall off after the first 5 minutes of the game. Third period seemed okay, but not great. Also, we need to stop the wave while we are fighting for a win. I don't understand the wave and the timing of it. I know this is a crowd thing, and I know this was an issue last season. After the first period, though, I will say, Paco, the Oilers had a pretty strong first period. As I go back to my notes from the game down at the rink, they outshot Winnipeg 19-6. That was a solid first period for the Oilers. No denying that. But the Jets were able to push back. The Jets were able to get the equalizer after chipping away. And yes, it was a totally self-induced collapse, if you will, for the Edmonton Oilers in that second period. And then even in the first period, at times, the Jets pushed, and we knew they would. And the Jets are a thorn in the side of the Oilers, but that second goal did not need to happen. The wave thing, I don't get it. It's a fan thing, as far as I know. I don't think Hunter's starting it, but it has become an issue, and maybe it is bad juju. YouTube Trev, what's your thoughts on that, pal?
On the wave, yeah, honestly, like when you're a part of the wave, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little guilty of it. I definitely get involved for sure, but it just, I don't know, the time and place. If definitely not near the end of the period. Like there's like a minute left. Like I for sure would be like, hey, like come on everyone, let's settle down, let's sit and watch the game, So I kind of see both sides of where people are coming from. Some people don't like it, but the diehard fans, they're probably like, hey, like let's just watch. And then you got obviously the kids involved. They're gonna be like, hey, like I love this, right? So I honestly don't mind it. I always think it's kind of cool to see at home. I'm like, hey, that kind of looks like satisfying. But yeah, I'm not too bothered by it personally. And I don't know if the players are either. Like, do you think, is that a distraction to them? Are they, do you think they're like, hey, like guys, come on, can we settle down here? Like, I'd be curious to know that actually.
I don't think they really care, but it is odd. And it did come up, like I said, a lot last season, where untimely waves seem to create bad karma.
Yeah, that's
and they would get scored on. So fans stopped for a little while, YouTube Trev, last year, and it seemed to get better. And listen, like, I don't know if it has any effect. I don't think it has any effect overall, but it just seems to bite them. And it's like one of those things that just in oil country continues to be a recurring issue, I suppose. But I don't know. That's a fan thing. Maybe talk amongst yourselves and don't start the wave. Whoever's starting the wave, maybe it's time to kibosh that. That's on the fans. If it is truly bad karma and people feel that, the majority of fans, hey, have a discussion. Maybe time to stop the wave. I don't know. Personally, I don't mind it. Builds the atmosphere, but it does have a time and a place. Oil country, figure it out. It's on all of you collectively to decide when to do it and when not to do it. But it's pissing people off tonight. That's for sure. All right, the Oilers fall 3-2 in overtime to the Winnipeg Jets. You're watching and listening to the Oil Stream post-game show. Tom Gazzola and YouTube Trev with you throughout the entirety of the night. Matty Cassian with the night off. Same for Joaquin Gage and Sean Bell. So we're going to lean into the nasty chat as well as the inbox. And if you want to have your say, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat if you're watching, and you can hit us up there. Oil Bitcoin to the moon says, hey, Tom, so panic button yet? It's getting closer. Oil _ Bitcoin to the moon. It's getting much closer for sure, but it's been a sloppy start at 1-3-1. This one from Roe Way says, Woodcroft deployment of ice time is horrible. Why can't he play the forwards the way he did when he started? Well, Roe Way, we are seeing the third set of forward lines and combinations in 5 games tonight. He switched it up. We saw McDavid with Hyman and Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins with Foegele and Janmark, McLeod with Kane and Brown, Holloway and Ryan were the extra forwards. Janmark, 2 penalties. That offensive zone high sticking penalty was dumb. That's a bad one. I didn't like his first penalty either. But as soon as he took that offensive zone high sticking penalty where he just kind of got his stick and flailed it around there, Nate Schmidt did sell it. 100% think that Nate Schmidt, did sell it. It worked. The ref was right there, saw Schmidt kick his head back and kiss his glove, and sure enough, Janmark gets a penalty. But we were talking in the press box again, Daniel Nugent-Bowman, right after I said to Ryan Rishaga, I'm like, Shagar, that looked like the penalty he took, Janmark did in Game 5 in Vegas when it led to when they started getting scored on, and there was that 3-goal swing in that second period after the Broberg hold, the questionable call. But it was the same type of play. Maybe keep that stick down, finish the check, hit the guy. You're big, you're strong. Going into the game, Matthias Janmark, along with Evan Bouchard, both had 0 for hits this season through 4 games. Finish the check. Don't just put your stick in there and kind of flail it around. That's what happens. So I did not like that. I don't know why Janmark's being elevated to the second line, quote unquote. I'll be honest with you. I thought McLeod with Kane and Brown, I would call that more of a balanced line. You got 2 veteran wingers with a young up-and-comer who's still trying to find his game after missing the majority of the preseason and training camp. I would make the argument that could have been the quote-unquote second line, even though we heard the Kane comments saying, he wasn't seeing the ice that much. But you look at Foegele and Janmark as wingers, and I would make an argument that Nugent Hopkins was the third line center tonight. I don't understand why the elevation of Janmark happened. I think he does his best work when he's defending and penalty killing and not in a position to try to score goals. He only seems to score against his former teams anyway. Foegele was buzzing a little bit tonight, had some opportunities, and I thought he was okay. In terms of distribution of ice time, let's take a look from the game summary tonight. Obviously, a lot of minutes for Leon Draisaitl, who led the way at 23:41. Nugent Hopkins, 21:37. McDavid, who did not play any of overtime and the last 4 minutes of the game, 20:48. And then you had McLeod at 18:35 and Hyman at 21:14 as well. I wouldn't have minded seeing a little bit more Derek Ryan. Derek Ryan looked like he was having a game. His motor was running, making some nice little plays, going to the net, getting a little physical with Nikolai Ehlers at the end of the first period. I thought we could have seen a little bit more Derek Ryan. Hyman at 15:24, Connor Brown at 14:31, Warren Foegele 11:43, and Evander Kane played 14 0-4. So there was the minute distribution, going back to that text from a little bit earlier on via the nasty chat. Greg says, on the Skinner gaff, how about Nurse blocking the crease? Skinner can't get in to make the save. All Nurse did was put it into his net. Meets the Jet at the far post and different outcome. This one from John says, do you think Nurse has finally settled down, or is this just a short good run before he makes more boneheaded mistakes? I thought he was all right tonight. I thought there's been some subtle little signs that he's settling down a little bit. Not perfect. I don't think we're ever going to see a perfect Darnell Nurse, but he doesn't seem to be as all over the map, which is good. When he's more composed and controlled is when he's at his best. So let's see if he can continue to put games string a stretch of games like this together, John. But I do think he has been a little bit better since he's been paired up with Cody Ceci. Is he perfect? No. I think they're still trying to get Matthias Ekholm up and running, who did look slightly better, in my opinion, as well. Tyler the Postman says, Thomas. Yes, Tyler the Postman. What can I help you with? Kevin says, Derek Ryan was noticeable. Pat Maroon's bib says, enough, guys. We all know it's a testicle strain from those giant balls flying around. Oh, Pat Maroon's bib coming in over the top there. Jerry says, Nurse was good again tonight. This one says, it's always the same suit, Tommy. Is that your only one? No, this is a different one. I haven't worn this one this year. I won't wear it again for a couple of weeks. How about that? I promise you. To the inbox we go. Shanzi said, I hope 97 isn't actually injured. Oilers need hunger. Send Broberg down. Bring up Ben Gleason. Guaranteed Ben Gleason will be hungry, says Shanzi. I'll stack up Shanzi's text because he's rattling off a bunch. Says Skinner played well tonight other than the blunder. I agree with that. Oilers don't hit enough. Too much stick checking garbage. Move your feet. Crush somebody. Shanzi, I am with you on that one. In regard to Broberg, there was a shift in the third period where Broberg and Desharnais got out there together, and they got absolutely caved in. There were 2 rim attempts by Vinny Desharnais that went nowhere. And by nowhere, I mean to Winnipeg Jets players. And then there was one by Broberg that also went nowhere. And by that, I mean to a Winnipeg Jets player. They got hemmed in. They got lucky to get out of that shift. They managed to get possession and calm things down. The forwards went off. Broberg took it to the bench, and then they managed to break out. But that was a very, very hairy shift. And I was very surprised personally that in the third period, tied at 2, in a tough battle with a Winnipeg Jets team that gives you everything they got every time they play you, you went with Broberg and Desharnais in that situation, and it almost cost them because the Jets were buzzing on that shift. Eden says, looking sharp, Tommy. Thank you, Eden. This is a playoff team, but Woodcroft cannot keep trying to draw water from the McDavid dry pairing. This is a team effort, and they're not going to go anywhere if the whole team doesn't have a full stake in things. And you know what, Eden, that might go back to the minutes distribution that we were talking about earlier when we did the breakdown at forward. And then, some people talking about the Kane comment at the intermission during his interview. And I totally understand that. The model was supposed to be what the Vegas Golden Knights roll out, right? 4 lines coming at you in waves, coming at you, playing tough, in your face. We have not seen that. Simply put, through 5 games, we have not seen that. We have seen the nuclear option enabled, and that line obviously tilts the ice. That line gets its opportunities. That line gets its cookies. And then the other 3 lines, just a little sprinkling here and there. I am with you, Eden. I would prefer to see these lines and groupings get a little bit of flow, have a little bit of leash, and we haven't really seen a ton of leash. That is something Jay Woodcroft does tend to do, is get the blender up pretty quickly. It's early in the year. Build some trust, go to them, give them more than a game or 2 together, different line combinations. I mean, he stuck with the same general lines and deep pairings all of training camp. And by game 2 and 3, we're seeing the blender, we're seeing the bingo balls popping, and we get 3 different sets of forward groupings in 5 games. And doesn't seem like there's a ton of chemistry at this point, as well as a lack of results in terms of points. The Oilers 3 points through 5 games at 1, 3, and 1. John of St. Albert texts in, says McDavid was unavailable to the media after Saturday's 3-2 overtime loss to the Jets as he was receiving attention from the training staff. That's from our good buddy DNB, Daniel Nugent-Bowman of The Athletic. Thank you, John, for filling us in on that. I haven't had a chance to check Twitter as we've gone along, or X. But keep those updates coming. And YouTube, Trev, if you see anything, let me know as I rattle off the fury coming from Oil Country tonight in the 3-2 OT loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Okay, this one I'm going to stack up from Scalding Gourd. Scalding Gourd is a hot little tamale tonight. Says, why aren't the fans happy? They want consistency. The 2 games here have been really similar. That's consistency. I like the wave for the kids. So many people here complain if kids down in our area cheer or jump around at all. Gives the young ones a chance to be excited. Oilers start the 3rd and 4th lines in the offensive zone on faceoffs far more than most teams. Tommy, have you been hanging around Woodcroft too much? Put $1 in the swear jar. I apologize for that. That was a bad one. Kane Omai talking about getting into a fight because he wasn't getting ice time anyway, so he thought he'd sit in the box for 7 or so minutes. Live on HNIC Hockey Night. So much fun. Thank you, Scalding Gourd. Just really quick as an aside, the kids doing the wave, people complaining if kids down in Scalding Gourd's area where he sits jump around and cheer. I don't like that. I don't like if people complain if kids are having a good time. That's a buzzkill, and it leaves a bad impression on those kids who are trying to have a good time cheering on their favorite team. Don't do that. Don't be that person. I know you want to watch the game, but if a kid's having a good time, relax. This text says, very concerning. The Oilers are the only team not to score yet in the 3rd period. That stat is alarming. And I believe last year they were the high-scoring 3rd period team in the National Hockey League. So the fact that they can't get it done in clutch time so far this season, telling. That's telling. Another text says, Tommy, is this last year's Van start? WTF, Dave. Last year's Van start, Dave, was awful. They have the lead in the first 5 games, and they blew all of them. Yeah, hopefully that's not the case, but has not been going well thus far for the Oilers. All right. 780-218-9999, or you can hit us up via the nasty chat. Drop us a thumbs up if you're watching. We really appreciate that here at EST. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get close to 5,000 here. Maybe in the next week or 2, we will get there. YouTube, Trev, any updates? Have you seen anything? Can you give us the scoop on what's going on down in the locker room thus far?
Yes, I haven't heard anything much more on McDavid or anything like that. Keeping an eye on that for sure, but I was able to get Leon Draisaitl, Stuart Skinner, and Darnell Nurse. They're all ready, so whenever you want to hear them, Tommy, let me know.
Okay, I do need a breather because I've been talking for a full half hour.
For sure.
So let's go to Leon Draisaitl from tonight's 3-2 loss. Let's go down to the locker room and hear from number 29.
Uncharacteristic things with this team. You haven't scored in the 3rd period yet. You got a nice start to the game, but can't continue to keep it going. What do you think's going on?
I don't know. I mean, just too up and down. Not consistent enough right now. So, it feels like every mistake we make just ends up in the back of our net. So, lots of things to fix.
You guys have been trying to find it here since the start of the season, and maybe just where's the frustration level at, Leon, with trying to piece this thing together the right way?
Yeah, it's very frustrating, of course. Our plan was to get off to a good start, and we haven't been able to do that or find that. So, frustrating.
What do you think is the biggest thing missing? Because it seems like you just one play away from breaking that game wide open, kind of goes the other way eventually.
Just little moments. Where it's mostly individual mistakes that are causing these errors right now. It's not really our system breaks down, or it's just individual little mistakes that we got to clean up.
Lots of penalties as well. Some minor penalties that probably
Yep.
don't have to get taken. Is that fair?
Yeah, we're a little undisciplined with our sticks in certain areas right now. Yeah.
And what do you say to Stewart after he went out to challenge that puck that went around the boards?
What do you want me to say to him? Made a mistake, like, big deal. Yeah, nothing to say to him. We all make mistakes.
Leon, could you see where Connor got hurt?
I did not know. I did not see that, no.
It must be strange for you to be out there in overtime without Connor McDavid. You and Ian have been doing this together for a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while. But, we got lots of great players on our team that are, capable of filling in. So, obviously, we couldn't get it done tonight. Little mistake by me there, but yeah, lots of things to clean up.
Okay, so that was Leon Draisaitl. A couple of things to take from that. Individual mistakes, we recognize that, and it has cost them. And obviously, we're going to point to the second goal that the Winnipeg Jets scored, and that's on Stuart Skinner. That's on Evander Kane for blowing that shot wide, basically rimming it around. And then I don't know if Nurse and Skinner were communicating, but you either go or you don't go. So Draisaitl absolutely correct in identifying that as a problem. The system seems to be working. Great starts. Honestly, for this team, the rest of the way, up and down. So that element is frustrating. And then the other thing I wanted to touch on that was brought up was the penalties. The Oilers take 5 penalties tonight. The PK goes 4 for 5. They give up a shorty. The power play does go 1 for 4, but they are leaking goals on the PK. That is definitely an issue. The PK did elevate itself, and I say that in jest because it was 32nd in the league for basically the first week of the season. But it did manage to elevate itself after a good couple of nights to 28th going into this game at 68.8%, but then gives up another one. And the type of penalties that they're taking too. Again, the one for me was the Janmark high stick. But looking at the Oilers through 5 games this season, they are the 8th most penalized team. 21 times shorthanded. They've allowed 6 power play goals against. They're clicking at a 71.4 efficiency rate. After action tonight, that has them, they bumped themselves up to 71.4%, 24th over at the stats department at NHL.com. So, whoop-de-doo, but they're leaking a power play goal against every single game. Add the 2 shorties. Special teams has been an issue for this team this season through 5 games. Not good enough. That needs to be corrected. A chance on Tuesday in Minnesota to try to do that. But to this point, even the power play connecting and clicking at a 30% rate, but giving up 2 shorties in a couple of games, unacceptable. And the way they gave them up, unacceptable. PK needs to be way better. And it's deja vu going back to what we saw last year on the penalty kill, where it was so leaky that you could basically guarantee night in, night out for the first 30 games that there was a good chance it was going to let one in. And generally it did. So that same ugly issue rearing its ugly head once again for this club. And the result is a 1-3 or 1-3-1 record. All right, let's go back into the Oilers locker room. YouTube, Trev, who are we going to hear from next?
I have Stuart Skinner already. I'm curious to hear what he has to say, Tommy.
All right.
On the one where he came out to play there and kind of what you saw, Steve?
Yeah, puck was coming down. It was a little bit of a 50-50. I didn't really catch a read on our guys or their guy, so I had a little stutter step, went for it, got scored on, moved on.
Any communication there with Darnell? Like miscommunication there or lack thereof?
A little bit. We both stutter stepped at the exact same time, so I was kind of like, well, I got to make 2 choices, and I made the wrong one. Now I know what to do next time.
Strange not to see Connor McDavid out there in the overtime?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to happen, so it's how we play off of that. And I thought the guys did a great job. The guys played hard right till the final goal there from Sheffer there.
There's just some elements we're used to watching on this team that are missing, right? You get a nice early 2-goal lead and don't get another goal. Haven't scored a goal in the third period yet this season. Where does it go? What's all the things this team does well, they're not doing right now?
I don't know if I'd go that far. I actually didn't know we haven't scored a third period goal. That's an interesting stat. Yeah, no, I mean, the guys have been playing hard. I believe we've scored enough goals to win games. It's just a matter of, well, for my 2 games, myself keeping the puck out of the net. And then, yeah, I mean, if I do a little bit better at my job, I think we'll be able to win those games. So it's not always up to the guys scoring the goals, especially when it comes down to crunch time. You don't see scores normally 6-5. You see them pretty tight. And that's kind of the game that we're going to be comfortable in, and I believe we are comfortable in.
How did you see the look like? Leon was kind of a switch. Leon went up to the blue line. And
on the goal, yeah, to be honest, I knew that was coming a year ago. I kind of backed off a bit, and now I know to kind of step up on him and kind of just push into him. So that's a save that I can make. So now I'll get to work, go back to work here on Monday, tomorrow or Monday, and get better.
9 points behind Vegas at this point. You guys feel like, the division's slipping away? It's pretty early to talk standings, but is it getting late a little early here?
I mean, you gotta play well every single day. It's the NHL. Every team is going to be playing well every day. Every team is going to do their best to win games, as we are. So it's up to us to not let that slip away. It's up to us to get going here, get some wins, get some points under our belt, and just keep on chasing. And if we do that, I believe that this team will be in a good spot by the end of the year.
All right, there's Stuart Skinner after a tough OT loss to the Winnipeg Jets. Skinner tonight, yes, did have the gaff. Admitted it, and he ended up with a 24 save performance on 27 shots. So not shying away from responsibility on the equalizer, and we'll move on. And it's been interesting watching him, a little bit of a different mentality from him this season. So we'll see if that positive or whatever books he's reading lends to a better success on the ice. So far, an 0-1-1 mark for Stuart Skinner. We do have some more audio and video to get to that we will. I want to read a couple of texts via our text line, 780-218-9999, and Nasty Chat. I'm keeping an eye on that as well. Good friend Kev Rahoman. Kev, congratulations on the little one, my friend. Says, hey, Gaz, missing Nick Bjugstad and Costin in the bottom 6. Kev, I will not deny that. In the last game, someone asked about Costin, and I would have preferred if he stayed an Oiler, but the financial constraint that he and his agent wanted or tried to put on the Oilers would have been a bit tough, and it did not happen, so they ended up shipping him off to Detroit. But certainly Bjugstad and Costin would be fantastic in the bottom 6 for this Oilers team. I cannot deny that by any means. Okay, one more text in the inbox before we go to Darnell Nurse. From Dare. Hey, Dare. Says, hey, Tommy, love the show. Was at the game, and as soon as the idiots in the corner tried to start the wave, I knew we had lost. Dare says, be better. It's that karma. It's funny how the bad juju gets flowing, and this wave thing keeps popping up. Dare, good to hear from you. This text says, Tom, is a coaching change a realistic possibility before the end of the year? I don't think so. And I do think we are 5 games into the season. Some questionable tactics and a lot of juggling and lack of results does get people thinking down the road. Right now, I don't think that that's realistic. If this team tanks hard and it continues to fumble and bubble its way through the next 10 games, 15 games, then we're going to start seeing the heat cranked up and we're going to hear more of those rumblings and that kind of noise. But as of right now, 5 games in, a week and a half into the new season, I'll just say no. That does change quickly when you're trying to win a Stanley Cup, and this is a results-based business. So for the time being, no, but we'll see what happens. Okay, back into the Oilers locker room we go. We're going to hear from Darnell Nurse.
Not the results that you guys are wanting, Darnell. It seemed like you got off to a pretty good start tonight, but what do you think happened from there?
Yeah, started well. Kind of went into the special teams battle there in the second period, and then I thought in the third we played pretty well. We had a lot of chances and ended up scoring one there in overtime.
What happens on that on the shorthanded goal against? Obviously, Stu comes out, but is it a communication thing between the two of you, or what kind of happens there?
I don't know. Let's go watch it.
What's supposed to happen? In a how's that supposed to go?
A puck like that?
Yeah, like, is there? Do you guys talk to each other? Or is there?
There's no. I don't think there's a perfect world where you play out that situation and the same thing happens 10 times in a row. So, there's a lot of factors that went into it. Probably could have better communication. Could probably get back, and that second guy that taps in. Like there's probably a multitude of things that we could have done better in that play.
Darnell, what's the biggest thing you feel as a group you're missing right now? Is it, you go up 2-0 and one big play away from breaking this game open, and it goes the other way?
Yeah, we got our killer instinct. Like I said, we had a good start to the game. It's a 2-1 game for a good chunk of it, and we had the start we want. So we got our killer instinct, and we have a team at 2-0. Try to find the next one.
Darnell, your team hasn't scored a goal in the third period this year, but you scored 100 in the third period last year. Is it just strange?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is strange. I think you look at the third period tonight, like we had lots of chances, and that kicks home. I think for us, we need to keep producing chances, and they'll continue, and they will go in. I mean, it's as simple as that. We can sit here and dwell, but we need to put ourselves in positions where we have leads, and we need to trust on that killer instinct. We have to put ourselves in positions where we're getting chances in the third and putting the puck in the back of the net. Like we just got to do that.
Don't know, how was Connor at the end of the game?
What do you mean?
He was just on the bench. Do you know what happened?
When?
At the end of the game. We didn't see him out on the ice.
I don't know.
Concerning any time Connor's not out there in those situations.
Yeah. Especially in overtime. It's always overtime.
Yeah, I might have to ask someone then.
Okay, there's Darnell Nurse, somewhat combative, obviously pissed off because the Oilers fall tonight 3-2 in OT. I will give him credit for this, though. Lack of killer instinct? Absolutely. Absolutely. At least he recognized it and pointed it out. That's something that's been discussed on this station before. It was discussed on our own old station, on the pre- and post-game show, and other shows that we've had, and it continues to be an issue thus far this season. So, hey, at least Darnell Nurse recognized it. Now, an opportunity Tuesday to go and actually do something about it. Whether or not they do, who knows? I feel like the majority of Oilers fans right now feel like they probably won't do it, but until they prove everybody wrong, we'll see what happens. But at least he sees it and recognizes it. And we did hear Leon Draisaitl talk about the individual mistakes that have plagued this team throughout the start of the season. I do want to get to this text. It's from Concrete Dan. I was reading it while we were listening to Darnell Nurse, and I had a bit of a chuckle, and I think it sums up some Oilers fans' sentiments. So bear with me. I'm going to read it from Concrete Dan, who says, "The wave is 100% always started by a drunk idiot bro who came to the game to get plastered and heckle players without ever knowing what they're talking about. They want to start a wave because it might be the only time in their life they feel part of something. It's terrible and a curse. and unnecessary. Even when you're up 6-1, you're only making some drunk guy feel good about himself by participating. Stop it, says Concrete Dan. Concrete Dan, good text. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Okay, to West End Rob we go. Says, gents, I don't think this team can win a cup. It can't learn from prior mistakes and constantly beats itself. It's pathetic. We need to revisit this year after year. Also, is Janmark Swedish for a high stick? His Oiler career video is a collection of one-handed stick jabs to someone's face. That's from West End Rob. Yes, I do not like the stick jab. And it is stupid. Finish the check. Janmark's a big guy. He's not a giant, but he's a big guy. He's thick. Just finish the check. I'm going to quickly check if he has a hit today. He did have a hit, so he did register his first hit of the season. Great. He had none going into tonight. This one comes in and says, hey, Tom, thought the Oilers played a pretty solid game. Just a couple of things to clean up. Better effort from the group. Skinner shook off a bad mistake and played well after. Tuesday and Thursday are going to be big games to get back on track. To Taco we go. Taco says, Tommy, do you think that the captain skate prior to the preseason could in any way be playing a role in this poor start? I'm not saying it is the main reason for the poor start, but could it have had some sort of negative effect? Taco, good question. Interesting. I don't think so. I think it's harmless. I think it's the concept of getting everyone to come together and I'm assuming quote unquote voluntarily, but you know that you need to be there or you should be there. I don't think that's a big issue. I think that's a good thing. And the fact that all of the guys did show up is a good thing. I honestly, and you hear about the individuals making mistakes and the lack of killer instinct. I honestly think that this team, at times, with its skill level, how good it is on paper, lets some of that get into its head, and it translates onto the ice, and they make those mistakes, and they get nonchalant, and this league is too good for any team, no matter how talented you are, to let yourself get into that mindset, and it's costing them. It's putting them into a hole early in the year. So I think that the actual captain skates, I think it's a good thing. Honestly, I think it's sincere. I think it shows the right attitude. But it's one thing to do it in preseason and training camp or leading up to preseason and training camp. You got to go out and execute when it starts for real. And that was what, October 11th? And this team just at times, so dull on Thursday. They were terrible on Thursday. Threw up an absolute stinker in the season opener. We're okay that Saturday game at home to open up the home schedule. Good in Nashville. Better tonight. But it's between the ears, in my opinion, for this group because of how talented they truly are. And I think that they feel like they can rest on their laurels and just coast through on their skill. And guess what? They're getting the crappiest, hardest, stinkiest reality check you could possibly get. And they need to shake this off and wake the hell up. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking about this night after night after night for the next, 78, 77 games that are left on the schedule. All right. We do have to dip into the Oilers locker room one last time. We are going to hear from head coach Jay Woodcroft. The Oilers fall 3-2 in OT. Keep those texts coming in, 780-218-9999. We're going to rattle off as many as we can before we wrap up the show. And I'm going to dip into the nasty chat as well. Let's get to Jay Woodcroft.
No, I didn't walk back in there yet, so I'm sure we'll have something tomorrow, Ryan, but no. It didn't appear to be anything, it appeared to be muscular more than anything like that. Just to me, just on the, as I watched, during the play, but we'll see. I'll have more information tomorrow.
Obviously concerning anytime he's not available in a moment like that for you.
Yeah. But I think, when he wasn't available there down the stretch and into overtime, it's an opportunity for others to step up. And, we had chances. We just didn't convert.
Jay, last year you scored 100 goals in the third period. This year you haven't scored one goal in the third period. That was your MO last year, playing so well in the third period. So what do you think's happened this year?
Can't explain that oddity through 5 games. It's a small sample size, but it is what it is. I haven't studied that in terms of why that might be, Jim, but it's happened through 5 games, and obviously, there were moments in a lot of those games where we could have used that goal in the third period.
And you were up 2-0, just looking for that one spot in the game to blow the game open.
You know what? I thought their goaltender made a couple saves on breakaways that kept them in the game and gave them a chance to be opportunistic. I thought in the game tonight, our players played hard. It was a good compete level. I thought we controlled the bulk of the play, had the majority of the chances. We just didn't find the 2 points, only one tonight.
Yeah, for some reason, it's a moving target, or I would ask you, is it a moving target? Tonight you got goaltending, tonight you got work ethic, tonight you got a 2-goal lead, and you still don't win. There's been nights when you didn't get any of that and didn't win. Tonight you get it and you still don't win. How do you feel about that as a coach?
Yeah, well, I think what you worry if you're not getting chances, you worry if you're not getting goaltending, you worry if your team didn't compete. I thought we did all of those things. There's maybe small moments in the game that we'd want to have back, both offensively and defensively. It's not to take any of the pressure off the offense, but we gave up a goal on a lost penalty kill faceoff with 1 second left in a kill. We gave up a goal while we were on the power play, and we gave up a goal 3-on-3. There's moments we can be better in the game, but I think if we stick with some of the good things that we're doing, eventually the results find themselves. And, it didn't go that way for us tonight. We got 1 instead of 2. It's disappointing.
Yeah, we're using words like patience and eventually. It seems crazy to talk standings in October, but you're 9 points behind Vegas. How concerning is that?
Well, for me, what's more concerning was the areas of certain games that I didn't feel we were playing to a standard. I think that stuff kind of sorts itself out over time. In this first 5 games, we are 1-3-1. That's not good enough to get us to where we want to get to. So that's an opportunity for us to continue to work at our process or our game so that we can find ways to collect points. Because collecting points in October is certainly just as important as collecting points later on in the season. But I think there were positives in our game today. It's easy to go to the negative, but we'll try and take some of those positives and build off of it.
Jay, too many penalties tonight? Did you?
Yeah, especially early. I thought it took the flow out of the second period specifically. But there were penalties both ways. What ends up happening is that guys get taken out of the game, minutes-wise, rotation-wise. The rhythm of the game just gets all out of whack in that situation. Certainly there's moments in the game where we can control our sticks better. But I thought the penalty kill did a heck of a job. Obviously disappointing to give up that one with 1 second left on.
Did Connor appear to hurt himself when he jostled with Morrissey there? Is that when he hurt?
No, I thought it was more him coming up the ice and just something felt off for him. That's what it looked like from the bench, but I haven't even rewatched it yet.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thanks guys.
All right, there's Jay Woodcroft, pointing out the penalties, obviously stick penalties, just going through the summary. The Janmark high stick, we talked about how much we didn't like that. I don't like it. I thought it was a stupid high sticking penalty by Janmark. And then we also had a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins tripping penalty as well. Actually, Janmark had 2 high sticking penalties, or slashing and high sticking. So those stick penalties, not good. So the coach kind of calling out Janmark and a little bit of Nugent-Hopkins. And yeah, you don't want to be taking those dumb penalties, especially in the offensive zone. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to get to the player of the game, and then we're going to get to some texts, and we're going to wrap up the night and the show as the Oilers fall 3-2 in overtime to the Winnipeg Jets. So with that being said, we get to the player of the game, brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. Damon Bunting is a consistent top producing realtor in Greater Edmonton. He and his team would love to help you find that right home, make the move from your current home. He's community driven, understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. If you want, check him out on DamonBunting.com or visit his Instagram at Damon Bunting Real Estate. And without further ado, YouTube Trev, give us the player of the game.
Yeah, so it was honestly pretty funny, Tommy. I was like thinking, I honestly think I'm going to give it to Stu tonight. And as soon as I had that thought is when the mishap happened between him and Darnell Nurse. And so it's tough. So honorable mention to Stuart Skinner. Honestly, it's too bad because he really, if it wasn't for that, for sure, I think he would be the player of the game. But, just looking at the nasty chat, I was happy to see him. Not the only one that thought this. We talked about him a little bit. Darnell Nurse, this guy, it wasn't a perfect game. Was he, he got one goal, 6 shots on net. He looked okay. Here's hoping that he can both him and Bouchard can start riding high with this confidence. They both got off the schneid and they both got a goal. So Darnell Nurse, I thought he looked okay. I thought he looked pretty good throughout the whole game. He didn't blunder too much. And so it's a tough one, but Darnell Nurse, your player of the game.
All right, that brought to you by Damon Bunting Remax Elite. If you're looking to get into the market or looking to sell, go check out DamonBunting.com or Damon Bunting Real Estate on Instagram. And he is excellent, a true pro, and a great guy overall. So if you're looking to do that, buy or sell, go check out Damon Bunting. Davin via the nasty chat says, we got the loser point, folks. We are progressing. McJesus just with this one over the top. Draft Lottery Dynasty coming back. Oh boy. No. McJesus, tap the brakes on that. To the inbox we go. This one from Tango says, I am more concerned now than ever. We have so many people basically saying it wasn't their fault. No one should worry, blah, 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 blah. Who takes responsibility for this? It's got to be on the whole group, Tango, because you win as a team, you lose as a team. Yes, individual mistakes. Yes, lack of killer instinct, but you have to hold each other accountable. You can't point fingers, and you got to work through this as a team. Right now, not happening. This one from Golf Guy Steve says, Tommy, just check the box score from the Wings game today. Costin isn't even playing in the Wings right now. And you know what, Golf Guy Steve, I said this to the other day on the Oil Stream afternoon edition that with Costin, even if he would have re-signed here, I don't know how much he would be playing, just given the fact that he didn't win over the coaching staff, and he would be one of the first guys to be healthy scratched, and he would be a guy that sometimes would only play 4 or 5 minutes. So I did point that out, and I'm going through the Wings lineup from tonight or from this afternoon, and there was no Klim Kostin for the Detroit Red Wings. So that's a good point. Glad you pointed that out, Golf Guy Steve. Appreciate that. I think a lot of people value, especially here, the physical element that Klim Kostin brought. And then with the offensive production, he did have one of those 10-plus goal guys last year for the Oilers, which was great. So, I get it. And it's a bit of a tug of war. Is he good enough, responsibly enough on the ice? And if the answer is no, why are you putting him in? Well, because he brings these elements, toughness, sandpaper, a little bit of scoring touch. Is he consistent enough? And you go back and forth on that. But I understand he was very likable as well. And actually a treat to talk to on the record and off the record. But I understand the Costin thing. Bugstad would have been a great signing too. Again, the Oilers backed themselves into a cap crunch and are in this situation, among other teams as well. That's something we should point out. Mark says, hey, Tommy, would you start to consider a trade in the bottom 6 for a guy like Zach McEwen? Thanks, Mark. I think McEwen was available on waivers Was he not, YouTube Trev?
Yes,
We were talking
yeah,
about this the other day.
that is affirmative. Yes, he was for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think he was claimed or anything.
Me personally, Mark, probably not. It is 5 games. I think this group, these guys need to figure it out. So I think right now, no. I think there's other people out there in oil country that would say yes. But since you're asking me, Mark, I would probably sway towards no at this point. I prefer the route of trusting in your people that you've put into place to get the job done. When they falter, do everything you can to put them in a position to learn from them their mistakes and succeed. They're not doing it right now. We're seeing baby steps, but the baby steps are not turning into results, which are points. There's been a lack of points, and thus the terrible start and the mounting frustration. But, going after a Zach McEwen, I really don't know how much that would move the needle, to be honest with you. So my answer would lean towards no, Mark. That's just my thought. All right. A couple more in the nasty chat, and then we're going to say goodnight. Neil says Costin didn't win over the coaches because he was a liability more often than not. Neil, good point. That is true. Calvin also asking, any chance trade pulled before deadline? Scared waiting to trade that deadline will be too late. I think the plan, especially with the cap crunch, is as close to deadline as possible. Obviously, injuries can occur, knock on wood, and then you can accumulate cap space that way, but you don't really want that. That's not an ideal situation. It can happen, obviously, but I think they want to stay the course and see what they have and be a little bit more patient. We'll see what happens with McDavid. So Woodcroft, I will add this last little tidbit. Woodcroft says, I haven't gone back to check on McDavid. We'll find out more tomorrow. Guess what? We got an official update from Oilers PR. Says Edmonton Oilers schedule for Sunday, October 22nd, day off. So we're going to have to wait until Monday to find out more on Connor McDavid, unless the Oilers surprise us and put it out there via their Twitter or a press release that something's up with Connor McDavid. So that'll do it for the Oil Stream post-game show. Obviously, a lot of frustration tonight as the Oilers fall to the Winnipeg Jets 3-2 in OT. They do pick up a loser point and find themselves with 3 points on the year. Again, another gaffe, blunder, whatever you want to describe it as, potentially cost them that second point. They could not get a goal in the third period. They have yet to score in the third period this season. And Connor McDavid's status unknown at this point after not playing the last 4 minutes and all of OT. So not a great Saturday night in oil country. They get a chance to regroup. They'll go to Minnesota after they practice here on Monday. We'll see if they can get a win against the Wild. And then they return home for the Oilers Hall of Fame game, where we'll see Doug Weight inducted in there and Charlie Huddy as well. So that should be a great night. Hopefully, if you're an Oilers fan, the team rises to the occasion on what will be a special night, and then it is the Heritage Classic next Sunday. With that being said, have a great night, Oil Country. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for texting in, commenting via the nasty chat. Mix in a water if you're going hard tonight. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. For YouTube Trev, I'm Tom Gazzola saying thank you once again,